On today's episode of Locked On Stars, in a landscape where contracts mean everything, where do the Stars rank in contract efficiency? Is there an opportunity for Alex Petravic to be more than just a safety valve? And Anton Khudobin calls it a career.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL. That's Locked On NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Friday, Stars fans. I hope everybody had a fantastic week. Hockey is right around the corner. Training camp will be here before you know it. And as you're watching or listening to today's episode, I've officially moved back to Corpus Christi. The ice race season is about to get underway as well. So I'm all moved in, and next week I'll be in a different location. And yes, hockey season is about to be in full swing. We're still doing 3 episodes a week here on Locked On Stars for the month of August. So just a heads up there as well. But a fun episode for you today. NHL efficient spending rankings, an article from The Athletic. The Stars are within the top 10. That's my hint. Let me know where you think they fall in the comments below. Also, is there a chance for Alexander Petravic to just be more than a 7th defenseman, more than a safety valve? I'll give you my thought process a bit later on. And Anton Khudobin calls it quits. Want to show him some love in his 14 NHL seasons and where he'll sort of land in Dallas Stars lore the rest of our lifetimes, because he's a rather interesting character, of course. But let's hop into this article from The Athletic. And we all know contracts mean everything nowadays. Term, AAV, it's all very, very important. And it says here that the goal of the exercise is figuring out every player's market value over the remainder of his contract, comparing it to what he's actually being paid, and then figuring out the likelihood of the contract being a good deal. Then it's put all together for each team to see which ones are spending money efficiently. By the way, it says this year, with a lot of long-term legacy contracts still on the books, that shifted to 2/3 of the league getting a good deal on average. For the purpose of this exercise, any team above average gets a B grade or higher, but grade on a curve and just getting equal value isn't good enough anymore. And getting negative value can put a team very way behind. So here we go. I'm going to hop into the top 10 here, and then I'll show you more of a detailed explanation of the Stars and each player's contract value. So Tampa Bay is ranked number 1. Last season, they were 13th. So they have a lot of good contracts with Brandon Hagel, Nikita Kucherov, and Anthony Cirelli. They give Hagel an A+, Kucherov an A. By the way, this is a bit shocking to me. Nikita Kucherov, $9.5 million over 2 years. I know that's just a bit of a bridge deal, but that is a bargain for Nikita Kucherov, and someone that I believe has been a Hart Trophy finalist the last 2 years. Wasn't he a year ago? Maybe not this past season. I think he dealt with some injuries, but we know he's a guy that can put up over 100 points in his sleep and is so deadly. They have a $1.9 million cap space. It says here there's a new number 1 spot this season. He says, perhaps I'm too high on them now or was too low on them a year ago, but it's worth looking at what's changed since the Lightning now have the top spot. First and foremost, the electric pairing of Brandon Hagel and Anthony Cirelli. As a president of the Hagel fan club, even I would never have expected the leap he took last season into stardom, scoring 90 points. And that obviously was able to inflate their ranking here. It says Lightning have exactly 0 problem contracts on the books, but very several solid deals. And yeah, they don't even have a grade of a contract below a C plus. They have a couple C plus contracts like Yanni Gourde, Ryan McDonough, Eric Chernak, Jonas Johansson, and Andre Vasilevsky. But even for Vasilevsky, look, if you're asking a goaltender to win one game, I think he's probably still up there with a Sergei Bobrovsky, maybe an Igor Shesterkin, maybe not at $9.5 million. He's maybe not valued at that. His positive value here, it has him at his percentage of 42.4%. I'm not going to go as in-depth on some others. We're going to get to the Stars. Carolina Hurricanes, they come in at number 2. Just because former Dallas star Logan Stankoven is there. He actually sits with a grade of a B plus on his contract after he just signed an extension this summer at 8 years, $6 million. That's a positive value of 69.4%, which is third best on the Carolina Hurricanes forward group. Number 3, Colorado Avalanche. So a team within the division with the Dallas Stars. They come in at 3rd. They were ranked 3rd last season. Number 4, the Florida Panthers, which I don't think should come as much of a surprise. Teams that sign contract-friendly, team-friendly deals and get positive value out of each player. I talked about Nate Schmidt quite a bit over the summer, how he became an integral part to the Panthers back end, and he was getting paid $800,000 for that past season. They were ranked number 1 a year ago. They come in at number 4, and Seth Jones, actually, which is interesting, comes in as one of the worst deals signed by Florida with a C value. Marchand and Bennett actually have a D contract grade. We'll see how that all plays out, but we all know when they need them most, they certainly showed up. Number 5, we're still not to the Dallas Stars. The Ottawa Senators come in at number 5 this year, and then we get to the Dallas Stars. The Stars come in at number 6 in NHL contract efficiency. Last season, they were number 10, and there's a potential for them next season to jump up within even the top 3 if they get a couple of deals done. And you may be wondering and already know what those are: Jason Robertson and Thomas Harley. I'm going to bring up, for those of you watching on YouTube, it can be a bit tough to see since it's small print, but I had to make the picture fit within the box. And it shows each contract grade. It gives you the positive value percentage and total surplus. So Wyatt Johnston comes in as the number 1 best contract for the Dallas Stars. His total surplus, $17.8 million at a contract at $8.4 million over 5 years. He gets an A. Miro Heiskanen also gets an A, $15.9 million total surplus with a contract of 8.5 over the next 4 years. Actually, the best contract for the Stars, they have it at Jake Ottinger. Whoa. That's pretty controversial to say. A plus, 8 years, $8.3 million, which Ottinger signed last season at the early part of the 2024-25 campaign. A $25.8 million total surplus for Jake Ottinger. So they believe here that Otter is going to age out very gracefully over the next 8 years, and they give the Stars an A plus there. A total surplus of $78 million for the Star. The average positive value, 64%. And you can sort of go down the line here, and I want to do that a bit. Sagan comes in at a D plus, and we know he's aging. His $9.9 million doesn't look very good on the books. Eli Labushkin, he has a C minus at $3.3 million now for the next year. Radek Faksa is given a C plus. So if you sort of want to figure out how others are maybe grading the Stars offseason, or at least the acquisition of Radek Faksa. And then you got a couple B-plus contracts, right? Ben, Robertson, Duchesne, and Bork. It says here the Stars have a fantastic cap sheet, but just fall short of the top 5. A big part of that is term, where the teams above them have more core pieces locked up for longer. Robertson and Harley are both on incredible bridge deals that create massive value for the Stars, but Dallas will have to pay up big for both in short order. considering their track record, they shouldn't have much concern. They'll look at the value on deals like Johnston, Haskin, and Ottinger. If the deals for Robo and Harley are anything like that, the Stars will shoot up the list for next season. Aside from the 2 stars left on Tyler Sagan's deal and Ilya Lyubushkin, the Stars don't have any problem contracts. Just nail the 2 key RFA extensions, and the Stars are a top 5 team next summer. So we'll see if they can do that. We've been talking about Harley and Robo quite a bit this summer. To round out the top 10, by the way, you got Vegas, you have Edmonton, you have New Jersey, and then Winnipeg. So a couple of teams within the Central Division rank within the top 10. And you look at just some of these rankings in general, like these are sort of the teams that were sniffing around the Stanley Cup last year. Outside of really Ottawa, you can make a case for each of these teams kind of sniffing around. I know Tampa was a first-round exit, but 9 out of the 10 are playoff teams, and you get I think all the teams that within the top 4 are within the top 10 as well. So it shows how important contracts can be. And for those of you watching on YouTube, you can get an idea of the total surplus and positive value and all that good stuff for the Stars as well. That's going to do it for your NHL contract efficient spending rankings. Now, I want to talk about Alex Petravic. Maybe not a very sexy player to talk about, but can he potentially be more than a safety valve for Glenn Gulutzan? Is this a guy that has played less than 15 combined games in the NHL over the past 2 seasons to play more than 50? We'll get into that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Game Time. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views at the lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Just last week, I was in Seattle, and me and my girlfriend, we wanted to go to the Rangers game in Seattle at T-Mobile Park. It's a ballpark I've never been to. Ballpark number 23 on my list. And then boom, went to Game Time. We got tickets. I was able to see the view from our seat. Beautiful ballpark. There was no obstructions. And just like that, within 10 minutes, we had our tickets and we were going to the ballpark and having a fantastic time. Game Time is there for you, the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB. It makes it easy to browse the app for an exciting upcoming MLB game. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time today app. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So I would label Alex Petravic as the safety valve for the Dallas Stars. Heading into this season, he is going to be, at least it seems like, the 7th defenseman for Dallas. Or potentially he's moved back down to the AHL and they ask someone else to be that 7th defenseman. But I wonder if there's a potential for him to be more than that, just because of what we've seen from him over the last couple of postseason runs. I do believe Nils Lundqvist is going to get the opportunity to be that 6th defenseman and play alongside Liam Bichsel. But we also saw how well Petravic played with Bichsel in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I wonder if there's an opportunity for Petravic to maybe win out that job right off the bat if Lundqvist doesn't show improvements or doesn't show the coaching staff that he deserves to be back in that position. Is there an opportunity where Lundqvist is sort of the odd man out and Petravic is that veteran defenseman that gets the benefit of the doubt from the staff? We talked about it with DeBoer a lot and Ryan Suter and some others, where coaches are always going to lean on the veterans because it's all about winning games. That's where coaches are going to be graded on at the end of the day. And yes, we want Golitzin to bring in this fresh new perspective, but when he's under the gun, if the Stars get off to a bit of a shaky start, he's under the gun. He's going to lean on the veterans. And can Petravic be that stabling piece on the blue line for Dallas? You have Miro, Lindell, Harley, Lyubushkin, Lundqvist, Bichel, Petravic. That's your 7 defensemen right now under contract for the Dallas Stars. And I'm just so curious, since Brendan Smith was a guy that played 32 games last season. I know many of those games were by necessary, were required by just by sheer necessary, because the Stars went through a stretch where they had multiple injuries with Miro and Lundqvist, and Smith had to step in, and also Smith could play up front. I know he got a couple of games as a forward under his belt as well, but I'm almost going to throw out a prediction here. I think Petravic has an opportunity, and maybe this is just a hot take. This is a bold take. I'll say that. I think he can play 50 games this next season, based off just what we've seen over the last few years and what Petravic can provide as a partner for Bichel. We haven't seen Bichel play with Lundqvist. Is that something the Stars really want to go into next season under a coaching staff with a pairing that maybe they don't believe is a great fit? We still have to see the chemistry between those two, and you're really putting your stock in a defenseman that's 26 and 21. And I know Lundqvist has been around the block, but he's still, I think, safe to say he's not established as an NHL defenseman. And Petravic is just an interesting case. He's cheap, number one, and he played a combined 6 games the last 2 regular seasons, and he was only called up because the Stars just needed him to fill in for a game here and there because of injuries. Well, it has a feeling now that I think Petravic can play, upwards of 30 games this next season, just to give maybe Bichel a rest. Also, I think you have to take that into consideration. As much as we love Bichel and we thought he had a really solid sort of rookie campaign, there's going to be some learning curves again, and maybe some growing curves where the coaching staff feels like they need to give him a rest. And Petravic is going to be a really, really solid safety valve for Dallas to just come in and be a stable presence and be that Joel Hanley, where you know what you're going to get, even if he's in the press box for a week and a half at time. They can work him in the lineup, give Lundqvist or Bichel a rest. Sometimes younger players just need to watch from the press box, and Petravic can step in, and maybe he's a guy too. Like let's be real. Maybe if they feel like Lyubushkin needs to be dropped down to give him an opportunity to play less high leverage minutes, maybe Petravic is a guy they can throw in with Thomas Harley, round out your top 4. And no, this is not ideal. This is not where the Stars want to be come playoff time, but you're talking about the grind of an 82-game season and a potential for, Miro's been hurt the last couple seasons. He's missed significant time. I think Petravic is a guy the Stars could rely on to play alongside a Harley and be serviceable, and be more serviceable than even a Matt Dumba than last season. I just think Petravic has been a guy that has really punched above his weight, and can be a guy you can sort of stick with anybody, sort of a guy you can just play with a Harley, a Lindell, a Lyubushkin. He just fits in with anybody, and he's going to be just fine, and he's going to thrive in a lot of situations. And, maybe the advanced analytics aren't going to be a loving darling to him, but we documented it multiple times this last postseason. I know Bichel and Petravic weren't playing in high leverage minutes, but they graded out very well. They were just one of the best pairings in general for the Stars this past postseason run, because of I think their really ability to just be physical and move the puck. They were a physical pair that could also move the puck with efficiency, get it up the ice, and were actually a strong pairing for Dallas when they really needed one after all the debacle with the, kind of the top four and not being able to really find, find a rhythm there. It was just sort of, again, a rotation of guys that we saw the last season. And this is going to be one of my hopes, I guess, for the season is that Dallas just finds pairings that work and that they can just stick to. That's been something the Stars have lacked the last couple of years. It's always been sort of a rotation, or every 12 games are kind of mixing in a new pair. Can they find stable pairings for a full 82? And you're going to have to mix them around, right? There's going to be injuries that just is inevitable. But can you have a pairing? Can you have 6 defensemen you kind of roll with for, let's say, 50 games out of the 82, and then the postseason, you know what you're going to get, and barring trade deadline and all that good stuff and additions. So that's sort of my thought process behind why I think Petravic can be a guy that maybe plays upwards of 50 plus games. Maybe he creeps around 55 because of Bischel being young and Lundqvist. Yes, he's getting a new lease on life, but there's going to be maybe a more collaborative process. Where does that land him with this new coaching staff, or at least Glenn Golitzin in particular, and sort of where the Stars blue line is coming into this season. Now, on a fun note to sort of wrap up today's show, Anton Khudobin. Yes, he is calling it quits, the career of Anton Khudobin. Where's he going to land for you in Dallas Stars lore? Of course, that magical run just about 5 years ago. We'll put a bow on his NHL career in just a moment. Anton Khudobin, we're not going home. Words that will always live in infamy in Dallas Stars history. He called it a quits just a few weeks ago, and Khudobin had a 14-year NHL career. 4 with Boston, 4 with Dallas, a couple of seasons with Carolina and Minnesota, and then 1 with Anaheim and Chicago. But he played 260 games. He started 238, had 114 wins, 92 losses, and then 33 between ties and overtime and all that good stuff. Had a career goals against average 2.52 and a save percentage of .916. His best year, was that magical run in Dallas, a .930 save percentage, a 2.22 goals against average. Remember that run for a few years? It was between 2018 and 2022. Khudobin and Ben Bishop, one of the best tandems in the NHL. Man, I always loved Ben Bishop too. What could have been with him? It felt like he was a guy that could get it done for the Stars. I would have loved to see Bishop still playing with a roster the Stars have had the last couple of years. He just had something about him that I think the Stars could have done something special with him. And unfortunately, injuries just derailed the rest of his career. But man, Khudobin, he led the league in save percentage that year in 2019, 2020, and he only started in 30 games, right? He wasn't the workhorse until the playoffs, just because Bishop had started the majority of games. But that playoff run, man, 25 games. He was 14-10-0 in those 25 games. He faced 811 shots and made 744 saves. That led the league in the postseason that year. And of course, that was just a weird year with the Bubble Cup playoffs. Man, that was such a weird time. If you can recall where you were at during that time, I was living in my sister's basement in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I was watching those games. Those Calgary Flames games are burned into my mind. I remember watching a game in a lake house in Minnesota. The game, I want to say it was 4, where the Stars were about to go down 3-1 in that series of Calgary. And then Joe Pavelski scored the tying goal with 6 seconds left. Maybe it was 14 seconds left in the third period to force the game into overtime. And then Klingberg scored the game-winning goal to make it a 2-2 series. The Stars, of course, go on to win that series and eventually make it 1 a run to the Stanley Cup. And just some incredible performances by Khudobin in that playoff run. He was Ottinger-esque in that. Remember that series against Calgary where he's just being peppered, and he just had the answer every single time, every single game. He seemed to have the answer against the opponent, and had to be just rode the rest of the way. Since Bishop only played in 3 games, I remember, he didn't start that first series, and Bishop, I believe, came back in a couple of the games against Colorado, or at least came into one of them to kind of give him an opportunity. And it never transpired. And then Khudobin was just the main man the rest of the way, and was just a workhorse, and was incredible. Started 25 out of the 28 playoff games the Stars played that year, 25 of the 30. Even Ottinger got a couple of games. He had to come in relief a few of those. I think it was in that Stanley Cup final when the game was sort of out of reach. And imagine if Anton Khudobin won a Stanley Cup. I mean, I don't think there was any doubt he would have been the Conn Smythe winner for Dallas. I think Miro would have had a decent shot at it. Even Ben that year had a really good year, but I think Anton Khudobin, there's no doubt he could have had a Conn Smythe in a Stanley Cup. And again, it would have been weird. I'm sure many people, maybe outside the Lone Star State, would have had an asterisk on it as well, just because it came during that run. But it was so just unique and historic. It probably will never happen again. And man, I still think back with a lot of fondness over that team. It's even hard for me to look back at footage from that year just because they were so damn close. And what he did was just so fascinating, just because of how that year sort of transpired. And Khudobin will just always go down as a fan favorite. He's just so easy to root for, and he played the position what made him so fun too was like in 2020 he played the position like in 2008. Khudobin was flying around, he was flailing and making acrobatic saves, and you just don't see that much anymore in the modern NHL, where guys like Ottinger, they're just kind of in position, they move and make saves, and it's a bit less sexy or a bit less sporadic. But Khudobin, he made an impact in Stars history in that short amount of time he was here, and he'll always be remembered fondly for his production and almost what he was able to accomplish, and would have been one of the best runs in franchise history. It still is. If he capped it off with a cup, my goodness, what a legend he could be in Dallas. But congrats to Khudobin on a wonderful NHL career. Let me know your thoughts on Khudobin in the comments below. I'm sure many of you have kind things to say about what he was able to accomplish. And I wanted to sort of put a bow on his career since he called it quits. And what a career. And it was awesome to see him. He was in the building for one of those playoff games this past year. So it's nice to see that he's kind of around the organization, and he is always going to be a fan favorite here in the Lone Star State. But that's going to do it for this Friday edition of Locked On Stars, and it's going to wrap up your weekend. Stars fans, have a great weekend. Hockey's right around the corner, just about 2 months away now from your season opener, which is going to be a ton of fun against those Winnipeg Jets. But have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you on Monday and on the next episode of Locked On Stars. So long, everybody.